This is going to be a very interesting episode, and we might get carried away because I love to talk about strength and conditioning. So we have a very special guest today. I'm excited to not only have conversations, but hear his perspective and insights. And we have none other than Guysen Terai today, who's an assistant strength coach at University of Oregon, and he's a local product out of Hawaii. So we'll go through all of his story and all of that. But thanks so much for joining me today, Guysen.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, this is going to be exciting.
And when we decided to do this episode, I went on a little binge HNL podcast.
Well, thanks. Thanks. There's a lot of great things that people share, and I'm so thankful for all of the guests on here. And it's exciting, I'm sure, to listen back to it, but it's exciting for me to talk to all of you guys and kind of pick your brains a little bit.
For sure. I just saw so many people that I was connected to that you had on. I saw you had Coach Tommy Heffernan on.
Yes.
You had Kaori Tamura, who was one of my professors.
Mm-hmm.
And you had Brian Moniz, who I worked out with a couple months ago. So I was just like, this is really cool just to see how many people are just connected to each other,
Yes, definitely. And it's such a small world, like I think in the athletic performance space, but just in strength and conditioning or kinesiology or athletic training, it's such a small world. So there's going to be all of these overlaps. And a lot of times the things that are, very sound principles, concepts, philosophies, everything kind of gravitates towards that, right? So you have a lot of the same overlapping people you worked with or professionals coming together for this common cause to try to help athletes perform better, right? Yeah. So we're going to talk a lot about your story, which I don't fully know. So we're going to kind of dive into that a little bit more. So let's start with, you growing up. How was sports a part of your life? What kind of started this interest of getting in the strength and conditioning field today based off of what you did, how you grew up and all of that?
Yeah, so currently live in Oregon, but grew up in Hilo, actually. Born on Oahu, grew up in Hilo. We moved there when I was 3. As far as I can remember, I played sports year round. It was when you grow up in Hilo and you're a local kid, you play baseball. It's almost like an automatic. So I played baseball my entire childhood. Baseball and judo were my two major sports. Mm-hmm. I was that kid that was always in season for something. So I had baseball, judo. A few years later, I picked up golf. So I did golf as well. In high school, I also did wrestling. So I was that kid that played everything. I wouldn't say I excelled at anything. I was just that kid that was good enough to be on the team. But I would never be in the newspaper for anything good. I was in the newspaper for Guysen went 0 for 3.
Oh no!
With a walk and 1 run. I was that kid, but it was good. It was a part of my life. It was all that I thought about. It's all that I did. Just knowing that I was good enough, but I wasn't gonna play at the next level. I knew that kind of early on. I was always that undersized kid. Not that small kids can't make it, but it wasn't a point where like I received a lot of interest in anything. So I knew kind of halfway through high school that I would have to go professional in something else after I was done playing. So went to the University of Hawaii. Naturally kind of found that kinesiology route because that was the closest thing to what my whole life had been kind of surrounded by. So when you get into that program, people are always trying to find their path because you can go in so many different ways: physical therapy, athletic training. And I didn't know about strength and conditioning at all, but we had to do this kind of practicum volunteer hours thing. And I just happened to walk by their weight room, the UH athletes weight room, the Waterhouse weight room. And not knowing anything, I didn't know like the magnitude of what I was doing, but I walked in there while the baseball team was lifting. And knowing that now, if someone were to just walk in while my team was lifting, I'd be like, please leave. Yes. But I walked in, I saw Tommy Heffernan, and he was the scariest looking dude. But I walked in and I asked him like, hey, can I do some volunteer hours?
Yes.
So he like probably thought it was kind of weird because I was interrupting his lift, but he said, yeah, just come in, wear a white shirt and black pants tomorrow morning. We start at 6. And that was how it started.
Wow, yeah. So backtracking a little bit. So, growing up playing all these sports year round, I think that's very common with a lot of the Hawaii athletes. It's just part of the lifestyle, right? Once you get, you play one sport, then it's like moving on to the next season, play another sport, right? And part of it is like we constantly talk about the weather and everything, just the lifestyle here. So when did you actually start playing sports? Like when you first could sign up, really young, like 5, 6 years old?
Yeah, T-ball. I was the youngest kid. I was 4.
You were 4, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. So then getting into sports, at an early age, what do you think developed, I guess, that interest? Especially growing up, was it more that all of your friends were playing T-ball or, how did that interest continue to grow during your childhood?
I've talked about this before. It kind of wasn't a choice. It's just
Okay.
kind of like, so I have a son now, and we always talk about like how we're gonna get him to play baseball and how we're gonna get him to play football and whatever.
Uh-huh.
And just looking back, it was never a choice at all. It was just kind of always just put in there, and that's
Mhm.
kind of a blessing, I think, because my parents just said, "Okay, you're gonna be active. You're gonna play sports."
Uh-huh.
And then once baseball started, and then I found judo, which I was pretty decent
Mhm.
at a young age, and I was pretty successful at judo. It just became like that was me,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I can't even imagine life without sports. I'm not sure what I would do, what I would have been doing. I'm just very thankful that that was a part of my life and that became a part of my career as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Growing up playing those different sports too, did you have a favorite sport early on, or as long as you were being active, you enjoyed that?
I enjoyed baseball the most
Okay.
because it was just something that just the game of baseball is just cool. I love going to watch UH baseball. I would
Uh-huh.
watch the Dodgers and the Braves on TV because those are the two teams that are always on.
Hmm.
It was on TBS and stuff. So I loved baseball. Judo was more of a natural sport to me. So I was very successful when I was a kid.
Hmm.
But both were very different. Baseball is a real like kind of intellectual, calm. You need to be composed in that game.
Hmm.
Judo, you also need to be thinking, but it's kind of like a chess match.
Hmm.
So the smarter, skilled judo player will win usually, not just being strong. So it was cool to just I think it really helped me to understand my body. To be
Hmm.
honest, when you're a kid, and we say this all the time, like you should play multiple sports to learn just the
Yeah.
kinesthetic sense of yourself in space. And I think that was really helpful to me to just do martial arts in addition to another sport as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that just getting that movement variability so that you learn, we know that's huge, right? And I think that helps you in more ways than we even realize, even far on into your adulthood when you're, teaching athletes or coaching
Mhm.
strength and conditioning, a lot of that base that you created when you were younger, that's very crucial. And we need that, I think, in some regard to help us to move safer, better, more efficiently later on in life, right?